Morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning. How you doing?
Morning.
Or evening, or afternoon, or whatever the case may be. Apparently, evening. Yeah. Down under people. The Oz contingent. So there's only what's appearing to happen, which is energy, which is nothing being everything. And that's unknowable, indescribable, boundless, unconditional love. Um, the difficulty with it is it's too obvious and too open and too ordinary and too much already the case. And for that feels separate, because there is an apparent sense of separation that happens. There's the appearance of feeling that this isn't just energy, this is real. This is real. I'm real. The world is real. I'm really moving through time and space into my future. I'm creating my future. I was born, I'll die, and loads of stuff is happening in between. And it's all happening to me. It's all about me. It's the me show. And that's a lived reality. That's an embodied, contracted, energetic sense that I'm in the body and that there's a world out there and things are happening to me. All the time there is that feeling of being separate. There's a yearning to not be separate, but the yearning for the person wouldn't be conceived of that way. It would be felt as some sort of yearning for something, because the person lives in the real, in something, in a subject object reality. So they feel that naturally what they're yearning for is something. It's some sort of state, it's some sort of experience, it's some way of being, it's a piece, it's a state of mind, it's maybe status, power, money, whatever it is. And that's what we see in the world, is people continually trying to fill this void that they don't even really recognize most of the time is there, by continually trying to get something, to make themselves complete, maybe, if you want to put it that way. And what's being shared here now from nothing is a suggestion, a very simple suggestion, that actually what's yearned for and looked for, it does not involve you getting anything. It's not something that can be gotten. It's not something that can be obtained or known. And actually what's looked for is your absence, your own absence. The cruel thing is that your own absence, in one way, the cruel thing for the person who's searching, is your own absence is already the case. You're already not there. The sense of being there is artificial. The sense of being a person, and a separate person in the world, is a story. So therefore what's yearned for is already the case. It's already whatever appears to be happening. Simple. Sounds, thoughts, emotion arises, maybe sensations, seeing things, and all of it is happening, appearing to happen energetically. Nothing being everything. It's not nothing appearing as something. It's nothing is something, is everything, and everything is nothing. And it's completely, totally, and utterly beyond understanding and knowing. It's possible that when this is suggested, it resonates because it's totally known already in one way, and it just resonates. And that sense, that contracted energetic sense of feeling separate, can apparently fall away, and it can be seen then that it never was actually, that whole sense of being a person in the world was always a story, and that was what was yearned for has always simply been what's appearing to happen. What was yearned for had never left you. So we can take questions um, about this suggestion and about the sense of being separate, um, and there's no really silly question or particularly insightful question either, for that matter. It doesn't really matter, but if it's there to be asked. It certainly energetically is a sense of asking the questions. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't really matter actually. And it's not about an answer to the question actually. This is all about a resonance, an energetic resonance. There is no answer, but that sense of being a person who's looking for an answer can fall away, so there is no question. Hi, Michael.
Hi, good morning, Kenneth. Um, I asked you a while back, excuse me, about London and Glasgow, and you mentioned your answer was, you were talking about there was no such thing as London and Glasgow. I can pretty much remember what you said, but I was trying to remember the resonance, the
Mm.
feeling, and I couldn't. So I was
No,
wondering if
you
you could
can't. You
perhaps just
can't at all. That's the
right,
sense of being a person who wants to hold on to things. So the
right,
person
yeah.
feels that. So I don't know. I can't remember the answer either, but I
Mm,
bet it was
mm,
probably something on the lines of it's real and unreal. There's
yes, exactly.
Glasgow and London
Mm,
is real and unreal, but the person
mm,
doesn't feel them as being real and unreal. They feel them as being absolutely real. So there's a
yes.
really thing, and they're a certain number of miles apart. Um, and so on and so forth. Um, and there's a time, there's that sense of there's a time that it would take to get from the two. There's a distance between the two, and they're two real places. And what was said was actually only there is only energy, and energy Glasgow's and London's, and that's the way. That's how it is. It's all unknowable, but it feels for the person who lives in the real that they feel real and everything is real. There's a real place called London, and there's a real place called Glasgow. And an example is that, for instance, someone could say, I really don't like London. I hate London because in 1999 I went to London and I had the most horrible time. I was mugged when I got off the bus. I was treated horribly by people. They were all rude. They were this, London's a shithole. So really you go, oh, is that the case? London's a shithole. London is a shithole. And I know that because I went there in 1992 and it was a shithole, and it is a shithole, and it continues to be a shithole. So what you're hearing really is someone describing a memory is arising that's unpleasant, and they're describing an experience which then they say is London, right? So that's a very elucidates or illuminates the artificial the way that everything is a story. Clearly, in that example, that's a story. You said, "Well,
Mm,
I'm sorry, mate, but you've got a bit of a concept there about something. You're describing an experience, whatever, and that's obvious. But that's the way it is. There is no actual real. It's only an appearance. So,
mm,
and when that was to go back to what you were saying, really is when that was that question came from nothing, right? And the answer
mm,
came from nothing, and there was a some sort of resonance with what was said. The person is the owner and wants to hold things and have things. So it wants to have that resonance then. But that question was asked a few weeks ago, and that resonance. I wish I could have that, remember it, and own it. And the amazing thing is that the person can't have anything, only in the story, and nothing needs to be held on to at all, because actually what's yearned for is simple aliveness, which is unknowable, ungraspable, unobtainable, and it is what you are, because that's already all there is.
Mm. Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks.
Are you do you still do one-to-ones?
I speak to people every week, yeah. So
Oh, okay.
people can contact me through email, and I do have a phone there for the most people are quite Zoom savvy, so they're happy to do Zoom, which I find good. But if someone wants to phone as well, I have a phone there somewhere. It's mostly turned off, but um, I could also do phone calls. But what it is you just email me and I arrange a time. It's usually 9 o'clock in the evening here. I'm available sometimes on a Wednesday as well, morning. So
Okay.
and just set it up and we chat. It's not I wouldn't call it a one to one,
Oh, right, okay.
because basically it could last 3 minutes, or it could last 30 minutes, or it could last an hour. It
Yes,
just is what it is. There's nothing on offer here at all.
yes,
So I can't call it a one to one. And also people can contribute, or they may not have the funds, or may not wish.
yes,
There's
yes.
no onus on anyone to do that. So that's the story with them. And I think it can be. I think that the meetings. There's a certain energy to the meetings, and I think that definitely I've always kind of tried to make myself available for someone to call, because people might have more specific things that they want to discuss, or whatever. So there you go. Yeah,
Thank you very much indeed.
thanks. Hi, Anita.
Hi, Kenneth. Hi. Um, Sometimes the teachers at the school, they ask the kids to behave better, and then I think, yeah, this is what is happening. They can't do better, and they can't plan to do it better the next time. So, yeah.
You're wonder. Is there a question there? You're wondering about the
Yeah, I can't formulate the question, but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just what's appearing to happen. That's all.
yeah, yeah.
There is a sense of in the story of kind of continually striving for better, um, and continually evolving, and continually so on. Getting better at whatever, and that's just what's appearing to happen. That's not right or wrong, or and it depends how. It depends on how that energy can be. It can be particularly strong, and is a sense of it then that's very artificial or something. It can feel very strange, this continual energy to better oneself, or to better what appear as other people. But it's also just what's appearing to happen. It doesn't mean anything, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Kenneth.
Hi, Said.
Hi, Kenneth. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. I just about this feeling of there being in London or being in Glasgow. Is it also to do with that this there's a feeling of home with whatever is happening, or apparently whatever is happening, and what's happening is enough. So even wherever you are, there's a feeling of home rather than like when you go traveling to London in the train, that's just what's happening.
Oh yeah, that's just that would be a different thing, but that would be if you don't feel like a separate self, then there is no you're always home in that sense, because it's an in loveness with what appears to be, and there is no here and there. There's just what appears to be happening, which is just energy. So you're always home, you could say.
Yeah, so there's no cons
It's all just energy. So there's no sense. There wouldn't be a sense of, oh, I'm not home and I have to get back home. You know.
yeah.
In a We're talking obviously more conceptually about a sense of home. There's obviously a building which you would reside in, and that there would be that would appear to happen. You know, and there would appear to be going back there. It's not as if you're just going to wander the streets. Um,
Eh, yeah, I
but
understand that, but
in a general sense, yeah, there's no sense of, it's totally indescribable, really. But because there's no longer this contracted sense that there's a me in here and there's a world out there, that all collapses, and there's just energy. So that's all there is, and that energy is nothing being everything. So therefore, there's no sense of somewhere that you've gone somewhere else. There is no somewhere else. Wherever you go, it's just aliveness, if you want to put it that way. It's in that way that what's yearned for by the person is actually inescapable. It's completely inescapable because that's all there is already. And then yet they're going around looking for it.
yeah, there's no concern about what would London be like. There's because you always like here rather than
Yeah, yeah,
there.
we're picking London and Glasgow, but it's just life Londoning and life Glasgowing and whatever other city or location you want to pick.
Yeah, just
That's just what's apparent. It's just in the appearance. Everything then is real and unreal, and it's unknowable and immediately just energetically what it appears to be, as opposed to when you feel like a person, it's a real place and in which you are. That's the whole point about it, really. There's a London, but when you are in London, there's a London.
yeah,
When there's oh, what I mean by that is when there's that sense of being a person who's in that place and interacting with it, then because that whole sense of being a person is a living in the real, and everything is an object, an experience, a thing, and it's that
yeah,
really lived feeling of being in there. I'm in there, and what's being shared is that that's actually a story. There is no you there, and when there is no you there, then there's obviously no, like, any place you appear to be then is obviously real and unreal. It's not a real solid thing, because there is no real solid things. Actually, there is no things or objects. There's just energy.
yeah. In that sense, then there's no interaction. There's interaction, but that's what's happening. It's not interaction from me to
Yeah,
that.
there is no interaction, only apparently. Yeah, yeah, but
That
the person feels that there is a real interaction between them and another person. That
yeah,
something's really happening, something's being said, and there's you could say a relationship, I suppose, is a nice way to put it. They feel
yeah,
there's a relationship between them, however strong or weak that is, or it feels very real, but actually it's separate things that relate to each other. So there is no separate things, so there's no relationship. There's just what is appearing to happen. And all of that, it's indescribable then, but all of that, well, most of that neurosis that goes with there being me here talking to a person over there is just boom. There's all of that sense that there's it's hugely layered with neurosis and kind of complexity of the sense how am I relating to this person and there, how are they relating to me, and it's all boom, and it feels very real, and it's all just a story.
Just one following question. In that, there's no, when there's the absence of a person, and when you say there's no goal, that when there's nothing to do, is that to do in the sense of there's no goal, or there's nothing to do in sense of walking, talking?
There's just what appears to happen. That's what I mean. So there's no longer, when there's no longer a sense of there's somebody doing something, then that there you are. There's only what's appearing to happen. Then there's no you who's doing something. So what would there be to do then? Because there's no you. There's no you there who can do it or not do it. It's just what's appearing. There's just literally what's appearing to happen. The immediacy of this can't be conveyed really, because the person is one step away from it trying to conceptualize it, and it can't be conceptualized. Like, no matter how many, if you could count the amount of times in a meeting that I say that this is beyond the mind, this is unknowable, this is ungraspable, you would be up to quite a number of it's repeated over and over again, but yet understandably the person who lives in knowing and understanding is continually trying to understand it. It's not about something that's knowable. It's completely unknowable. It's the immediacy of just sitting. There's sitting now. There's a certain temperature which the body picks up on, maybe comfortable enough. There's speaking, there's sound, there's a computer, I could talk and talk, and it's also not what appears to happen, because it's not what it's being described. They're just words also. But for the person, they feel that it is it is knowable because they live in the known. And there's nothing appearing to happen. This is nothing appearing to happen also. That's the other thing about it. For the person, it's very real. Everything is real and it's really happening. This is nothing appearing to happen, which completely nullifies the mind really. Like, where can you go with that?
Yeah.
Hey, Kenneth.
Hi.
It's Geraldine.
Hi, Geraldine.
Is there a sense of danger as you approach the end of the illusion? The lifting of it?
Yeah, there can be the apparent lifting of it, because nothing actually happens. If there's a sense of danger, then that's it already. That's what's appearing to happen. The person kind of feels like, if this is happening, is it a sign that I might fall away? And that's not really accurate, because you're not going to fall away. And the reason you're not going to fall away is you're not there already to fall away. So this isn't about somebody falling away really, because there's nobody there to fall away. There's already no individual. Like, you already didn't ask that question. There's just words coming out there. There's already just what's appearing to happen. So if there's a sense of fear, then it is already the fear. Like, fear is what's appearing to happen. Then it can be that when there's an engagement with this communication, or for the person, there can be huge fear. Fear is something that can happen, because really this is about the end of you. So you would find that very frightening. So there can be fear, but it's not that, like, you can't, it's not that that's a good sign and you're on the right path, because there is no path. How could there be a path to what already is? There's just fear. That's what's appearing to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It's
thank
very
you.
it's very simple. It's very simple. It's always just, if fear is happening, appearing to happen, then fear, that's what's appearing to happen. Whereas the person feels, oh, I'm afraid, it's my fear, and I relate to it, and it means something. Or, there's always a sense of things meaning something. Nothing has any
Mhm.
meaning, only for the person. Only the meaning the person gives it. But fear is energy. There is only energy, and if fear is happening, that's what's appearing to happen. It's energetic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kenneth,
Oh yeah.
hi, it's me again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, how come we so believe we can do something? Okay, how come we're so convinced of it year
Because the
after year?
story of me feels absolutely real. Like when we're young, we're told from the very beginning by our parents and by teachers and by everything, society, that you are a person who has choice and has control over their lives. So you're told immediately you have a life. So when that, and there's a lived sense of having a life. So then there's a lived sense of having control in a very causal way, that you make decisions and it brings about a consequence. So that feels absolutely real to the person. I did this and this, and then this happened. So that's an integral part of feeling like a person, is a sense of having control.
And that's already everything happening without no one doing it ever.
Exactly, yeah. That's all just energy. So energy just appears as somebody who thinks they have a life. There's already nobody in there. There's no separate anything. Nothing exists in and of itself. And this is the way it is. There's just energy, which is nothing being everything. But then there's that, in that story, that doesn't feel like a story. It feels totally real, and it's confirmed that it's real all the time when you speak to other people. Of course you have control, of course it's your life, of course you can do this and that, and that's the whole story then. So it's continually confirmed all the time that you have a life, and it more or less goes unquestioned, more or
Hmm.
less. Like, the sense, people arriving at the sense that maybe I'm not real, and only an appearance, and maybe there's no me in here, would probably likely to be quickly followed by, oh, that's a crazy thought, or that's a crazy idea, because there's no kind of confirmation of that anywhere really. Um, so that's, this suggestion is exactly that, and it can resonate and become, it can just be very, very obvious that it is actually the case that you're not in there. There's just a body, and there's just whatever appears to happen. And of course, there's nothing to be done then, because there's no you to do anything, and there's only already wholeness, boundlessness, indescribable, unknowable.
Yeah, that's the most crazy thing, that it's already that
Oh
happening.
yeah, that's very, that that's just hilarious, really.
Mm.
That for people, there can often be huge laughter when it's seen is, oh my God, it's just been, it's just whatever. You know, it's funny that I keep saying, oh my God, when there is no God, but it's a turn of phrase, really, that I'm used to saying. So it's just the absolute shock that it's just already whatever is appearing to be, and the ordinariness of it is just completely stunning, because it's just aliveness already, and it's always been that. And that's just, it's completely stunning. The person will doubt that, though. The person will, like, the person's not been spoken to here, nothing's been asked of anybody, because there is nobody here, you know. So the person will just reject that, really, in one way or another, that, and they'll turn what's been said here into some sort of concept about wholeness, oneness, non-duality, whatever, and feel that, well, I'm not there yet. I'm not quite there yet. I still feel like a person, but if I keep listening to these meetings, maybe I'll drop away someday.
Mm.
You won't drop away someday, because there's no someday, and there's no you to drop away. There's just what's appearing to happen. It's not. It's completely inexpressible, how ordinary it is and obvious it is, and then that's how it appears to hide, by being already being the case, already being everything. So the person, the apparent person, is continually kind of rejecting and looking for something better, in hopeful anticipation of something better that is usually around the next corner. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Baron.
Hi, Kenneth. I'm still wondering, like, how would someone still go to work if the me vanishes? Because there's no future, there's just what's
Oh, it's
appearing to happen.
lovely. It's lovely. It's lovely. That's the incredible thing. There's already nobody. So it's so lovely that the person can't imagine anything without an individual. It's unfathomable that anything would even appear to happen. How could it happen if the person doesn't do it? There's already nobody going to work. There's already nobody. You didn't just speak there. There's just speaking. There's no you in there speaking. How did you just speak there if there's no you there? So there's the sense of being a me is that, well, that question couldn't have been asked if I wasn't here asking the question. And what's being suggested here is that that sense of being a you or a person is an addition, the false addition to everything that appears to be. It's incredible.
Yeah, okay. I'm still imagining that I go to
Yeah.
work because of bad conscience. Like,
Yeah, well, you feel that it's what appears to happen. Going to work is what appears to happen, and then you add yourself to it. Then that I'm doing this job, I'm getting into the job, I'm going home from the job, and in the job I'm doing the things in the job. I'm there. It's a continual sense that you're in there doing, because you are in the body and it's you in your life. And what's being shared here, suggested, it's only a suggestion, is that there is no you in there, and there never has been. And there's no job even. It's just an appearance. It's what appears to happen. And as regards imagining it, like, it's completely unimaginable, because anything you imagine or think about it would just be another idea or thought. It's totally beyond knowing.
okay, thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Victoria.
I can, and it's also not compulsory to go to work, actually. So
Yeah. No, he won't be executed if he doesn't go into work. No.
yes.
There is the appearance of other jobs and all of that stuff too. Hi, Laura.
Hey, good morning. So can you also say that this individual is something like a very common brainwash kind of? That it is like a brainwashing that has happened?
I kind of always preferred to think of it or talk about it like an energetic contraction, because it's not just an idea that you're a person. Like, it's not just a brainwashing concept that we're all brainwashed into believing something. It's more than it's a really felt reality for the person. It's a contracted cellular sense that it's my body and I'm in the body. It feels absolutely real that I'm in here and there's a world out there. So I'd say it's beyond. The mind has a huge um, um, role in it, but it's there is no mind really. That's just one feature of one aspect of it. It's a really lived sense of feeling like a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, if it was just kind of a brainwashing, it would be more that education would just be needed then. You know what I mean? It could just be, let's just
Mm-hmm.
educate people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, oh God, that was a
Yeah.
concept I had, or an idea I had there. Now I see the way it is. That's the way it would be then. But it's not that at all. It's not about educating, or because it's beyond knowing. It's not, it's the person who is that closed loop of knowing. So it's nothing to do with knowing.
Yeah.
So it does really feel that I'm a person, whilst you feel like a person.
Mm.
But then when this is shared, then that is being exposed as artificial story that's real only in its appearance, and it's not being seen as actually real. So there's nobody being spoken to actually in these communications, these meetings. There's nobody being addressed at all, because the person can't even hear what's being said here actually.
Yeah.
The person can only turn it into
It's,
something,
it's
or
funny. Yeah. I'm nodding with the head, but it's just not a head. Like something resonates, and that's why the
yeah,
head is nodding. But there is not really
yeah,
an understanding of.
yeah,
If I'm
yeah.
really
Well,
honest, I don't understand at all
well,
what you are
that's good.
talking about.
That's a good place
It's
to start then.
it's
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean, if you understand what I'm speaking
I have
about,
no clue.
it could be that someone understands
Mm,
non-duality, right? Or they understand that there's no separate person, and it absolutely means nothing has any significance whatsoever. Does not
mm,
make any difference at all. Only for the person would have some sort of sense of, well, feeling that they know that they're not real, and maybe that has some apparent kind of effect for them, but that's it's completely irrelevant.
yeah,
And there are people who understand that there's no individual, but they understand there's no individual then, so it doesn't
that's
it's
what happens as
that's what's
well.
appearing to happen, but it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't. That sense, the contracted real sense of being a person, is still apparently there really, even though they might even report that they're not there, but you get the sense that this is totally beyond understanding and knowing.
Yeah,
And there's people, I know people who can break down much more eloquently. Probably that wouldn't be hard actually, but much more in detail, even the brain mechanisms that are going on with the hippocampus and the different parts of the brain and all of this. They know all of that. They know it, and
mhm,
they still feel like somebody. It doesn't make knowing is just an aspect of, which is very, like, for the person, no, because knowing is everything really. It's
mm,
just so confronting that it's beyond understanding.
mm,
It's, how do you mean, everything is kind of to do with understanding for the person, because that's the manner in which the person who feels like there's them and their world kind of feels like they keep themselves safe in the world, is by knowing the world, and that closed loop of knowing, and knowing themselves and knowing the world is the same thing really. So to say that it's beyond understanding is uh, it's confronting and ludicrous really.
mm.
But of course the immediacy of this can't be understood. It doesn't need to be understood because there's just nothing being everything. It's so immediately just it is and it isn't. It's not even starting and then finishing. So therefore it's totally unknowable. For it to be knowable requires someone to be separate from it to know it.
Yeah, and there's something that I'm listening more. I feel more like, I think, I don't know how to describe that. Some way I listen more energetically
Yeah,
and
no,
with the
completely.
body somehow.
Yeah, yeah, you don't even have to. I know what you're saying, yeah, because
I'm
what
not
what
doing
what
it.
happens is when it resonates, really resonates, it just can be very obvious that there's nothing to get, and there's
Yeah,
that whole energy of trying to get something out of the meeting, just kind of falls away, and it is a resonance then, and that resonance then it then becomes very obvious when the few people who are speaking, apparently speaking clearly about this, as opposed to the ones who are speaking to somebody, it's very, very obvious
yeah,
immediately that
yeah,
they're speaking. And you mightn't even understand the difference between the two communications, but you would feel the difference
yes,
you would
yes,
energetically feel that you're being spoken to. And
yeah,
it's that boundlessness, or whatever word, it's indescribable, just isn't there then for the
yeah.
other one. It's not wrong or right. It's nothing to do with wrong or right, obviously.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that boundlessness is already all that is. So there is no Zoom meeting actually. It's not that this boundlessness is opened at, well, let's open the jar of boundlessness at the
yes,
Zoom meeting, and then
yeah.
let's put it back in again now, and we'll tune in next Sunday, and you'll just have to get on with your sorry little lives till then, and then we'll open it up again. You know what I mean? It's is all there is. That's all there is. There's no Zoom meeting. There's no anything. There's just energy which appears as whatever it appears as. So in that way, what's being yearned for by the person is already the case. It's completely inescapable. And in that sense, there's no, people sometimes this is heard and they don't ever come back to another Zoom meeting or feel any need to. And that's beautiful because there's nothing really to get anywhere. Or they might find themselves that they are apparently coming back, and then that's also what's appearing to happen.
Mm. Very touching in a way. I'm pretty touched today. I don't know why. Yeah.
It's stunning. It's absolutely
Yeah, I quite have
indescribably
tears in
stunning.
my eyes because there's something like very open. I don't know.
No,
I
it's
really
totally
don't know what
it's
I'm
of
talking
course you don't know. Yeah, of
about.
course you don't know because you can't know, and you can't describe it. I can't
No,
describe it. You can't describe it, and
yeah,
yet it's all there is. Yet it's already all there is. It's stunning.
yeah, yeah. I have nothing more to say.
Thanks.
Thanks as well.
Um, so there's just a comment. There's a lot of heartbreak and upset currently about the serious illness of a loved one. I know you say it includes this as well because it is everything, but it feels so hard and personal. So what's being shared is that there's only energy, and that energy is nothing being everything, and that is everything. So when there's an illness or a loved one who's ill or terminally ill or experiencing a life-limiting illness that is hugely impactful, um, or is approaching end of life, that's what's appearing to happen. That's what's appearing to happen, and can be boundlessly painful, boundlessly painful, and that's what's appearing to happen. I'm not suggesting, what's not being suggested here is some kind of state or some sort of way of being, that everything is just lovely and fluffy and nothing ever touches you really, and it's all great, and everyone, hey, there's only energy, it's great. It's absolute pain also, of course it is, because that's also energy. The person feels very much that I have a life, and the life should be a certain way, and that I have to make this as comfortable as I can, which is completely logical and understandable. The person will try and pull in comfort and push away discomfort. Very simplified way of saying it, but that's essentially it. And would very much feel that things that happen, the car breaking down, the huge bill coming in for something, the an accident that happens, all these things are they shouldn't really happen, or they're really bad luck, and it's not that you would suddenly welcome these things at all. It's that it would be seen when you no longer feel like a person, that it is what's appearing to happen, and it's all energy. Um, and that's about as fully as I can answer that. It's pain as well as pleasure.
Kenneth?
Oh yeah.
So any realization or insights are basically useless and meaningless as well, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're just insights and realizations. That's all they are.
It was funny because I just had an insight, and then there was this insight. Oh,
Yeah.
you cannot do anything with it.
Well, they
What
just
can you do with it?
when
Yeah.
when the person appears to fall away, then there can also be insights or realizations, but they wouldn't need to be held on to. They could come like one after another about the way things appear to be, or oh, this is boom 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 boom. They can come, but they don't need to be grasped and retained, and
Yeah.
so they're just there, and then they're just gone again.
But
Maybe, or there could be a memory of them, or there may not be. It doesn't matter.
yeah, but when the person hears this, it will turn even this into a carrot.
Oh
It
no, the
will
whole
turn
thing
it
is
into a
impossible.
carrot.
It'll always be a carrot for the person. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally impossible for this to be communicated without it being seen as a carrot for the person. It's completely impossible. Like, once you open your mouth, it's a carrot for the person, because the person is just looking for someone to start talking and say, okay, what you're saying now, I want a bit of that. I want to nibble at that carrot. And that whole energy is of I want, I want, I want, and so so essentially,
Helpless. Helpless.
oh, completely, yeah, completely.
Oh, helpless.
So, but
Hopeless.
the crux of it is, though, that the person's not being spoken to.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter whether the person feels it's a carrot, or if the person feels that they themselves personally are getting something out of what's been shared here, then that's what's appearing to happen. That's it doesn't matter. But the person isn't being addressed or spoken to, and that's
Thank
the
God.
essence of the communication, is that you're being seen as actually nothing, which is everything, which is boundless, unconditional love.
Yeah.
Not as this little me that you may
Yeah.
experience yourself to be. But that also is very confronting then, because the person wants, the whole energy of a person is being feeding that sense of me and being recognized as a me.
Yeah, maybe it is confronting somewhere in the body. I feel maybe just
Yeah, well, I'm speaking in a general sense. I'm not saying it has to be confronting. It's there's a readiness for this sometimes, or an openness, or and it might not be at all confronting, or it might be only slightly confronting, or the way this resonates is totally different for every apparent person. Some people hate this, completely hate this. Some people don't even hear this, actually engage with this for years and just conceptualize it as something else and stay safe with it, really, then, and just find it kind of intriguing or interesting or whatever. That's just what appears to happen. And then sometimes it's just a readiness or an openness, and boom, there's it's clear that there is no separate person and never has been. Hi, Baron.
Hi, do
Oh
you hear
yeah,
me?
now I can. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is any is there any that matters?
You broke up for me there. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, do you hear me now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's all.
No, you keep freezing.
Oh, okay.
That's a pity. That was probably the one question that would have got the one answer that would have unlocked everything. Michael, someone says, not Michael, sorry, Baron. Someone suggests turn off your camera and put on your. You could try that if you wish. Turn off your camera and put on your microphone. You might come through clearer if it's a.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, that actually sounds like it might work. Yeah.
My question was, is there anything that matters at all?
No.
Nothing at all, nothing.
No. Any kind of any kind of
That the
sense that things matter, are important or significant or have any kind of meaning, is all within the story of separation, of you being a person. Everything has some sort of meaning then. Everything. When that sense of being a person apparently collapses, then everything is completely without meaning, beautifully without meaning. What meaning would it need? It just is and isn't. It's just energy.
even life and death.
Even life and death. Like, I mean, this is a lovely description of the dualism of the person, life and death. So the person is that duality of that play of opposites, that there's a thing called life and I have a life, and there's this other thing, and that's called death. What is it? Like some big blobby thing, big black blobby thing. Death. Oh, death. So there is no death and life. There's no life and death. That's all the illusion of separation, that there's these opposites. So actually there's just energy, which is everything being nothing. And then when that's seen by nobody and that sense of being separate falls away, there's clearly not this other thing called death, as opposed to this one thing called life. That all collapses. Nothing is everything and everything is nothing. And it's totally, completely beyond understanding. It does not need to be understood.
Okay, that's good, because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks to Michael. That was a good suggestion, Michael. I think that's a nice place to finish, actually. That was lovely. I'm going to put the PayPal into the chat if someone wishes to contribute. Thank you very much. And lovely to see everyone. And yeah, see you soon. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks. And
Thanks,
as we said
bye.
earlier in the
Thank
meeting,
you.
if you want to speak to me,
Yes.
just send me an email and we can definitely set something up. Okay, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Okay.